All right, good morning. We're going to start on time today. So my name is Dr. Melissa Chuckars, and I'm from the History Department. Welcome. Thank you for coming today. I'm going to start by thanking our sponsors, actually. So thank you to the Cambodian Association of Greater Philadelphia, to the Department of History, to the Asian Studies Program, and to the International Relations Program. I would also like to thank Alex Gold and Dory Pappas for helping to make this event happen. In addition, I would like to give a special welcome to the students from Bodine High School of International Affairs in Philadelphia. Thank you so much for coming today. We have some special guests. Welcome to St. Joe's. A few words about the Cambodian genocide. It began in 1975 when a radical, violent regime came to power in Cambodia called the Khmer Rouge. It was led by a man named Pol Pot. The Khmer Rouge sought to create agrarian socialism. This plan was partly based on the ideas and actions of Joseph Stalin in the Soviet Union in the 1930s, and on those of Mao Zedong in China from the 1950s to the 1970s. However, it was also based on the Khmer Rouge's own ideology that glorified the rural poor, the ethnic Cambodian people, and the imperial past when the Cambodians ruled over a large empire in the Southeast Asia, the Khmer Empire. When the Khmer Rouge came to power in 1975, they abolished private property and money, removed Cambodia from international markets and trade, closed the borders, and forced almost the entire Cambodian population onto collective forced labor farms. Seeking to create a new and what they believed to be a more pure Cambodian population, the Khmer Rouge targeted some people for elimination. These included the country's ethnic minorities, Buddhist monks, and the middle and upper classes, especially those from the cities. Many of these people were simply killed. Others, including all of the urban populations, were moved to the countryside where they were forced to work in what amounted to be slave labor. The people of Cambodia were given little food and few provisions. They were terrorized, tortured, and many were killed. From 1975 to 1979, around 1.5 to 3 million people died in Cambodia. The genocide ended when the country of Vietnam invaded Cambodia, overthrew the Khmer Rouge, and set up a new government. It was really not until the 1990s and the early 2000s that Cambodians began to unravel this past and to seek ways to bring the leaders of the Khmer Rouge to justice for their crimes. Today, however, we are very lucky to welcome two guests who are originally from Cambodia, Yin Mom and Kanchana Van King, who will tell stories about their experiences during this period of Cambodian history. In addition, they are here with their son, Rox Maimoni Yin, who is the Youth Development Coordinator at the Cambodian Association of Greater Philadelphia, and he will speak to us next. We also have today with us Linda Marie Pang, who will serve as the interpreter. She is a PhD candidate at the University of Wisconsin, finishing up a PhD in education policy. All right, so if you want to come up first, I'm going to let you do this.
Good afternoon. I know it's 11 in the morning, but I'd like some more energy. I'm also a former science teacher. So good afternoon. Oh, no, good morning. That's why. Good morning. Thank you. Okay, once again, thank you, Professor Chuckars, for inviting us. My name is Rex. I'm the Youth Development Coordinator at the Cambodian Association of Greater Philadelphia. There, my role is a lot of different things with youth programming. I oversee 5 youth programs. And just touching on about this organization and what we're doing here in Philadelphia in regards to the Cambodian community. So we were established in 1979 by some great visionaries. The mission of our organization is to improve the quality of life of Cambodian Americans in the Greater Philadelphia area through direct service, advocacy, and culture education. And I also do want to spend this time to just put a preface to what we're going to be going through today. The Khmer Rouge, the history that my parents will be sharing, is often a narrative that is overlooked or often not even told. It's also something that's not even educated in schools, and so if you look back into your traditional education, this might be a topic that you may not be even familiar with or not even heard of. So I would definitely say to you that it's truly an honor that you would be able to hear this personal narrative from myself and also my parents, because this is something that even I didn't get personal exposure to during my day-to-day school. So I do want to go more into what Professor Chakars went through with Khmer Rouge and also explain more about the resettlement and the migration of refugees during this period. Okay, so there's 3 waves that occurred. Okay, the first wave of Cambodians, about a little over 5,000. These are those who found sanctuary in April, May 1975 before the Khmer Rouge regime. Okay, and during this period, right, the first population that the Khmer Rouge regime targeted were those who were educated and middle class, and then killing about 90% of those folks. Okay, so for those who did avoid or were able to avoid this Khmer Rouge regime taking place, the ones who were able to find sanctuary in America, these are also the same folks who also built up the Cambodian community and the organizations that are presiding here in the United States. Not just the Cambodian Association, but other organizations in New York City, in Long Beach, in Fresno, and then Los Angeles. And then we're also going to go into the second wave. Okay, the second wave of Cambodians resettlement, this taking place during the Khmer Rouge regime. Okay, these are those for folks who are fleeing from Cambodia to Thailand during this period. But one thing I want to point out there, during this time, between the borders of Thailand and Cambodia, there's lots of landmines, bombs, and a lot of just military men blocking people from running away. Okay, so you're truly thinking about people, a lot of people going through a lot of dangers and obstacles just for freedom. And this is also, I'm going to just touch on Linda's. This is Linda's family. This is the wave that her family was in part of. Okay. At the same time, we're also talking about an influx of also Vietnamese and Chinese also resettling and migrating during this period. And lastly, this third wave of Cambodians. Okay. This third wave are those who fled after the Khmer Rouge regime. Okay. So 1979. Okay. This is when the Vietnam came in, changed the government, also for folks who want to leave Cambodia to other places, okay? Places like Thailand, the Philippines, Malaysia, also other locations too. And so at this point, this is where there's the height of influx. This is the majority of Cambodians fleeing to other places like Thailand and reselling to refugee camps. At the same time, Thailand being that immediate, like kind of neighboring country, they also just with this great influx, also saw it as a personal threat to their own country, okay? At the same time, the role of the United States during this period, okay, so the U.S. Cambodian regime program, refugee program ended in 1994, okay? And so during this time, we're talking about between 1975 to 1994, about 160,000 Cambodians resettling in the United States, okay? Majority of them as refugees. And I do want to distinguish the two between the differences between refugee and immigrants. And from what I've learned and what my perspective about the differences between refugees and immigrants is that refugees are those who are leaving a country in regards to for survival, okay? Immigrants are those who are maybe leaving country in regards to social mobility, university, jobs, okay, for trades. And it's not to say that one person cannot be one or the other. I mean, I definitely personally identify as a refugee immigrant, but with that refugee title, definitely pointing out that for a lot of refugees in the United States or in other countries around the world, they're so, I guess, what they really are looking for is just a place to live and to survive, okay? So touching on what's going on here in the United States and what's happening right now. So Philadelphia is home to the 4th largest Cambodian community in the United States, okay? And within the Philadelphia context, the Cambodians are the 4th largest Asian community. And so flowing from some data from the American Community Survey, in connection with the U.S. Census data, 49% of Cambodians speak English well, okay? And when we talk about educational attainment, okay, 9.2 Cambodians in Philadelphia at the age of 25 and above have a bachelor's degree. And we put that in the context of just the whole United States, about 17% of Cambodians have bachelor's degrees, okay? And in regards to income status currently, per capita, okay, about $13,000 in Philadelphia versus about the $18,000 in the whole United States nationally. Okay, so although this is the Khmer Rouge regime is something that ended almost 40 years ago, a lot of the impacts of it still ripples today. Okay, we're talking about mental health being a huge concern right now in regards to post-traumatic stress. We're talking about social inequality. We're discussing about low educational attainment. Okay. So as an agency, as the Cambodian Association, with our work, we're providing services in regards to address all these various issues. Okay, we currently offer 11 distinct programs. Okay, of those 11, I personally oversee 5 in regards to youth development. So we offer services in case management, social services, and family support. Okay, really our goal is community navigation. For a lot of Cambodian community members, they don't know how to navigate through the system. In addition, and think about this, if you come from a country in which the government turned against you, would you want to ever trust it again? So for us, transitioning, helping Cambodian family members, community members transitioning into this new environment, along with our youth development programs in which we serve K through 12 plus. Okay, so that goes from our at-school program, summer camps, to our digital storytelling program for our middle schoolers, to our social justice high school program. Okay, along with other programs like our community health initiative, really helping our community with not just public health, but also health access. Okay, and that's if you're interested in learning more about the Khmer Rouge Association and the work we're doing now, and there's also lots of ways to be involved in helping us expand our work. Okay, definitely talk to me. But now I really want to give this time to the true stars of this morning. Truly an honor. I would love for y'all to also just welcome my parents. So Linda is going to be serving as our interpreter. And so she's going to actually frame how this session is going to go for us.
Hello. So before I start asking questions of our elders, uncle and aunt, they had wanted to share that their life under the Khmer Rouge is the very few intensive years that they spent there. What you are receiving today is a snapshot of their experiences. In the 30 minutes that they have, they can't possibly tell you everything that they have experienced. So if you have any further questions that you'd like to ask, please save it for the end of the session for the Q&A. Or you're also welcome to contact Rex if you have any further questions or wish to connect with them to learn about their experiences further. I cannot tell you enough that before this, the stories that they shared with me, I'm not sure if I'm able to tell you all everything that they had said. And there were some heart-rending stories that they had shared with me, which I'll try my best to share and interpret at best to you all. And just to be clear, I am the interpreter, and I will try to capture the tone of the stories that they tell you. But if anything questionable comes up, then I take full responsibility for that. So the segment today for the questions, we have 3 questions, and the first question will explore their life in Cambodia before the Khmer Rouge. The second question will explore their life under the Khmer Rouge and what their experiences were. We'll try to pick out the experiences that they most want to share to the audience today. And the third set of questions will talk about their experiences after the Khmer Rouge, and when they left Cambodia, how did they come to Philadelphia? Okay.
So I'll ask the question in English, and then she'll ask them in Cambodian. So what was your life like in Cambodia before the Khmer Rouge came to power? Where did you live? Who was in your family? What were the occupations of your parents?
ឥឡូវនេះខ្ញុំសូមសួរសំណួរទី1អំប្រុសអំស្រីសំណួរទី1គឺជីវិតនៅស្រុកខ្មែររបស់អំប្រុសអំស្រីគឺយ៉ាងម៉េចដែរហើយមានស្ថានភាពយ៉ាងម៉េចដែរគ្រួសាររបស់អ៊ំគឺធ្វើការអីដែរហើយថែមទាំងអ៊ំធ្វើការអីដែរយ៉ាងអំប្រុសសូមឆ្លើយសំណួរនេះមុនក៏បានដែរ
ខ នេះខ្ញុំនិយាយជាខ្មែរម្ដង
ចានិយាយជាខ្មែរចម្ដង
ខ្ញុំសូមជម្រាបសួរដល់អស់លោកទាំងអស់ថ្ងៃនេះខ្ញុំមានទឹកចិត្តសប្បាយរីករាយដែលបានទទួលការអញ្ជើញឲ្យខ្ញុំមកដើម្បីជម្រាបជូននៅជីវិតរស់នៅរបស់គ្រួសារខ្ញុំដែលជាគ្រួសាររបស់ខ្មែរហើយដែលបានមករស់នៅក្នុងទឹកដីសហរដ្ឋអាមេរិកនៅថ្ងៃនេះប៉ុន្តែរឿងរបស់ខ្ញុំគឺថាក៏មានប្រវត្តិដែលខ្ញុំរស់នៅស្រុកខ្មែរតែរបៀបយ៉ាងដូចម្ដេចរួចហើយខ្ញុំនឹងជម្រាបជូនអំពីប្រវត្តិដែលខ្ញុំបានមករស់នៅសហរដ្ឋអាមេរិក
ដូចថាអំប្រុសរស់នៅខេត្តណាដែរហើយនៅក្នុងគ្រួសារខ្លាចខំមានសមាជិកខ្មែរដែរហើយអំធ្វើការអ្វីដែរ So he'd like for me to translate that first before he gets into the main points. It's his pleasure to be here today to share the story of his life with you all. This is just one segment of his life that he is able to share, and it is his pleasure to do so today. And he feels very honored and also grateful for being able to be a survivor and to be able to have come to the United States and be with you all here today.
ដូច្នេះបន្ទាប់ទៅនេះខ្ញុំសូមឆ្លើយនៅសំណួរដែលបានសួរដល់ខ្ញុំសូមជម្រាបថាខ្ញុំឈ្មោះយិនម៉មជាអតីតសាស្ត្រាចារ្យបច្ចេកទេសនិងជាអតីតនាយទាហានថ្នាក់ឧត្តមសេនីយ៍ខ្ញុំមានអាយុ83ឆ្នាំហើយរហូតមកដល់ថ្ងៃនេះដូច្នេះខ្ញុំបានរស់នៅឆ្លងកាត់នៅបញ្ហាជីវិតខាងច្រើននៅក្នុងប្រទេសខ្មែរនេះចេះបកទៅតាម
ចាចា
ឲ្យចាំដល់ទៅ
ចាអូខេ
អំពុនទៀតស្ដាប់ដឹងពីនិយាយ
Ja. So his name is Yin Mam. He was originally in Cambodia a professor of engineering specializing in auto mechanics, actually. He was also a member of the Royal Reserves. This year he is 83 years old.
ខ្ញុំបានឆ្លងកាត់នៅការរស់នៅស្រុកខ្មែរអស់រយៈពេល5របបកន្លងមកហើយគឺរបបទី1គឺជារបបនៅស្រុកខ្មែរជារបបអាណានិគមនិយមបារាំងដែលបានមកត្រួតត្រានៅស្រុកខ្មែរអស់រយៈពេល90ឆ្នាំរបបទី2គឺជារបបដែលពេលខ្មែរបានឯករាជ្យពីប្រទេសបារាំងនៅឆ្នាំ1953របបទី2គឺជាទី3របបទី3គឺជារបបសាធារណរដ្ឋខ្មែរហើយរបបទី4គឺជារបបខ្មែរកុម្មុយនីសខ្មែរក្រហមដែលនិយមប្រទេសចិនកុម្មុយនីស និងរបបទី5គឺជារបបខ្មែរកុម្មុយនីសដែលជាខ្មែរកុម្មុយនីសនិយមចិននិយមយួន
ចាជិតទី3គឺជាអ្វីអ៊ំ
ទី3របបសាធារណរដ្ឋខ្មែរ
សាធារ
ល
ណ
ន់
រដ្ឋ
របបលន់
Oh, ja. Okay. In the years that he was alive he was living in Cambodia. I'm so sorry. He has lived under 5 different types of ideologies from the government system. The first one he was experienced was French colonization that lasted for 90 years, 89, 90 years. The second was independence from France in 1953. The third was under Lanol. The fourth ideology is communism with inspiration from China. And the fifth one would be a form of communism taken from Vietnam. And these are all his interpretations of the ideologies present in Cambodia that the people of Cambodia were living under in different times.
ដូច្នេះដោយសារគោរពទៅតាមពេលវេលាដែលតម្រូវខ្ញុំសូមលើកយកទៅជីវិតរបស់ខ្ញុំឆាកជីវិតរបស់ខ្ញុំដែលរស់នៅក្នុងសម័យខ្មែរក្រហមមកជម្រាបជូន
So then for this time, although he has lived under 5 different ideologies present in Cambodia, he's specifically talking about the era under Pol Pot, which is classified as the fourth one, communism, as taken from China. Yes, okay. Oh, okay. Think about that.
ដូច្នេះ បន្តទៅនេះខ្ញុំសូមជម្រាបជូនអំពីជីវិតឆាកជីវិតរបស់ខ្ញុំនៅក្នុងសម័យខ្មែរក្រហមដោយលើកយកតែចំណុចខ្លះមកជម្រាបជូន
សួស្តីស្គាល់ឈ្មោះខ្ញុំមិនបាយប្រាប់ឈ្មោះ
ប្រាប់ឈ្មោះទៅ
ណែខ្ញុំកើតនៅខែ February ខែ2 18អានឹងឆ្នាំ 1952 ហើយរៀនរហូតដល់ឆ្នាំ 70 ស្រុកកាយសង្គ្រាមហ្នឹងខ្ញុំក៏ចូលធ្វើការរោងចក្រទៅរោងចក្រដំបានតិចស្ទីលយ៉ា ហើយដូចចប់ពីនឹងទៅក៏ចូលទៅសម័យខ្មែរក្រហមនឹងឯងរហូតមកចា
ហើយគ្រួសាររបស់អ៊ំស្រីគឺរស់នៅខេត្តណាដែរ
ខ្ញុំរស់នៅក្នុងខេត្តបាត់ដំបងមានបងប្អូន 10 នាក់
អ៊ំនិយាយឈ្មោះអ៊ំទៅ
ចាំប្រាប់ឈ្មោះប្រាប់ទៅ
ចាប់ម្ដងទៀតទៅ
ខ្ញុំឈ្មោះកាញ្ចនានាមតកូលវ៉ាន់កេង ហើយទៅឥឡូវគេហៅស្រួលដាក់គេហៅតាគឹមណាទៅស្រួលហៅ
So she'd like to clarify that her whole name, surname Van King, first name Kanchana. She was born in Battambang province in 1952. In the 1970s, when there was unrest in Cambodia, her family had taken her out of school and asked her to work in textile factories in Battambang province to keep her close to the family. And that is all.
Okay, thank you. How did you live in Cambodia under the Khmer Rouge, and what did your family do during that time period?
ពេលដែលខ្ញុំរស់នៅក្នុងសម័យខ្មែរក្រហមគឺជាសម័យមួយដែលប្រទេសខ្មែរបានអនុវត្តនៅរបបកុម្មុយនីសផ្ដាច់ការដូច្នេះជីវិតរបស់ខ្ញុំដែលជាអតីតសាស្ត្រាចារ្យហើយជានាយទាហាននោះគឺត្រូវបានខ្មែរក្រហមគេបញ្ឈប់ទាំងអស់ហើយខ្ញុំត្រូវទៅរស់នៅក្រោមរបបខ្មែរក្រហមដោយគេឲ្យខ្ញុំធ្វើជាអ្នកធ្វើកិច្ចការនៅក្នុងស្រែចម្ការទៅវិញម្ល៉េះហើយនៅពេលនោះជីវិតរបស់ខ្ញុំគឺបានរស់នៅយ៉ាងសែនវេទនាដែលគេធ្វើបាបយ៉ាងខ្លាំងក្លាជាទីបំផុតហើយតែខ្ញុំមិនអាចរៀបរាប់បាននៅក្នុងពេលនេះដោយសារពេលវេលាដូច្នេះគឺគេធ្វើមិនឲ្យយើងមានជីវិតរស់បានដោយស្រួលទេគឺគេបង្ខំឲ្យយើងធ្វើការជាទម្ងន់ទាំងយប់ទាំងថ្ងៃហើយគេបង្អត់នៅម្ហូបអាហារឲ្យយើងហូបបន្តិចបន្តួចពេលឈឺគ្មានថ្នាំដើម្បីនឹងព្យាបាលដូច្នេះជីវិតខ្ញុំក៏ដូចជាជីវិតបងប្អូនខ្មែររាប់លាននាក់ដែលនៅក្រោមអំណាចខ្មែរក្រហមពេលនោះគឺជាអំណាចកុម្មុយនីសផ្ដាច់ការនោះគឺបានស្លាប់អស់យ៉ាងច្រើនគឺចំនួនជាង3លាននាក់នៅក្នុងសម័យនោះដូចជាគ្រួសារខ្ញុំក៏បានបាត់បង់ជីវិតស្ទើរតែអស់នៅសល់តែកូន2នាក់ដូច្នេះទុក្ខវេទនាយ៉ាងខ្លាំងដែលជាមហាសោកនាដកម្មរបស់ជីវិតខ្មែរនៅពេលនោះគឺខ្លាំងក្លាណាស់ដែលខ្ញុំមិនអាចនិយាយបាននៅក្នុងពេលនេះដោយសារពេលវេលាខ្លី
Okay. So for the context, remember that he was a professor who was living in Phnom Penh, the capital city of Cambodia, and he was forced to relocate to the countryside. And living under the Khmer Rouge, he, like many other Cambodian people at that time, were forced to work in the fields. And so this is very intense labor and very labor intensive. So he was forced to farm. And his experience living under the Khmer Rouge was that he continuously felt that they were trying to take his life at every turn, and not necessarily through, for him, not necessarily through direct execution, but through a very slow and grueling process of overworking him, like many other people in the Khmer labor camps. And he had shared that he had suffered many personal grievances while living in the Khmer Rouge labor camps, which include not only forced labor, but also starvation, in which he and many others were not only forced to farm the land, but they were also given very little food. We think about rice porridge, they were given only a bowl of rice porridge to eat for the entire day, despite working 12 to 18-hour days. And he was also another challenge that they faced was that when people got sick, there was no medication to give to people. So many people actually died from the starvation, from the labor, and then from having no medical services or treatments at that time. Personally, in his experience, he had lost nearly all of his family members, including his wife at that time. And he had also had 6 children, but only 2 ended up surviving.
ខ្ញុំសូមបញ្ជាក់ថារបបកុម្មុយនីសខ្មែរក្រហមដែលបានសម្លាប់ប្រជាពលរដ្ឋខ្មែរនៅពេលនោះមិនទាន់បានបញ្ចប់ទេគឺរបបនោះនៅតែមាននៅក្នុងប្រទេសកម្ពុជាសពថ្ងៃនេះរហូតមកទៀតគឺអ្នកកាន់អំណាចនៅសពខ្មែរសពថ្ងៃបានអនុវត្តនៅរបបកុម្មុយនីសដដែលហើយផ្ដាច់ការដដែលសម្លាប់ជាតិខ្មែរដដែលហើយនឹងមិនតែប៉ុណ្ណោះទេធ្វើឲ្យប្រទេសខ្មែរត្រូវមានការនឹងបាត់បង់ប្រទេសទាំងមូលទៅនៅក្នុងកណ្ដាប់ដៃបរទេសជិតខាងមានប្រទេសយួននិងប្រទេសសៀមជាដើម
And the another point that he wanted to stress is that the extreme form of what do you call it, the extreme form of communism that was practiced by the Khmer Rouge, the suffering of the Khmer people did not end after the Khmer Rouge were overthrown. In fact, the people still suffer now. And with that in mind, he doesn't want people to just think about containing the experience of the Khmer Rouge between the years of 1974 to 1979. In fact, there are everlasting effects. And his critique of the current government today is that they practice another form of extreme communism, but it's hidden. But in fact, both points, whether it's under the Khmer Rouge or under the contemporary government of Cambodia, Cambodian citizens, normal people like him, continue to suffer.
ហើយការសម្លាប់ប្រជាពលរដ្ឋខ្មែរយ៉ាងរង្គាលអស់រាប់លានអ្នកនេះគឺមិនមែនមានតែខ្មែរក្រហមខ្មែរសម្រាប់ខ្មែរទេគឺដោយមានពាក់ព័ន្ធទៅជាមួយនឹងប្រទេសដែលគេមានគម្រោងផែនការរបស់គេដើម្បីសម្លាប់ជនជាតិខ្មែរឲ្យផ្ដាច់ពូជខ្មែរឲ្យអស់ពីស្រុកខ្មែរហើយកាលណាអស់ជនជាតិខ្មែរជនជាតិប្រទេសជិតខាងនោះគឺប្រទេសយួននោះគេនឹងមករឹបអូសយកទឹកដីខ្មែរទៅកាន់កាប់ត្រួតត្រាដោយជាគេកាត់បានកាន់កាប់រួចមកហើយនៅខ្មែរកម្ពុជាក្រមសពថ្ងៃនេះរហូតមកដល់សពថ្ងៃនេះនេះហើយជាមូលហេតុដែលនាំឲ្យមានការកាប់សម្លាប់ប្រជាពលរដ្ឋខ្មែរអស់រាប់លានអ្នកនៅក្នុងរបបកុម្មុយនីសខ្មែរក្រហមនោះ
And the senseless murders of Khmer citizens, not only under the Khmer Rouge but in contemporary times, are a result of not only Cambodians who are part of the Khmer Rouge, but there is also responsibility that needs to be accounted for of the neighboring nations, which continue today.
Đôi khi nhung chùm rệp chăng bây giờ mai cái hôm nhung với một thời ca nông rong chặt nằm bàn trong vinh chà hai tứ bên nâng cần lại thưa cá ở bên cái lại thưa cá rồi mà nước mai cái hôm cái chỗ cái lại dương cái phóng cái áo buộc nhung để nấu lưu nâng để bàn thưa cá nông rong chặt nâng để nấu cá thưa cá rồi bên nâng khai vụ sụp phê khai bằng muối á thì cái ao buộc nhom để lâu lưu sray chả nè nè cái ọt miên nên đây cái ao dương ô rồng co là
So as you can see, this is a very emotional segment of her life because she's recalling the time where, if you remember, she was working in the textile factories in Battambang province as a young woman, and she was about 22 or 23 years old, but she was not married yet. For many of the young women of this era, an experience that they suffered was actually forced marriages under the Khmer Rouge. And she herself was actually one of the young women where Khmer Rouge cadres in power in the area that she was living in had tried to force her and the other few young women to marry a member of their forces. But she refused. And the punishment of that refusal was forcing her to do farming, but not, excuse me, I'm not really good at farming. So back in the day, to plow the lands, you would use oxen to maneuver the plow, right? But instead of using oxen, what they did was they used young women. So they had forced the young women who refused to abide by the forced marriages to actually plow and move the plows themselves. And so they were tethered like oxen and animals in order to be, this was their form of punishment. And she had talked about how their bodies were, and their upper torsos were entirely bruised from that experience.
ដូចទៅអានឹងដូចថាដល់គេប្រហែលមួយខែគេឲ្យគេដោយអង្គប្រាប់ចឹងណាតែចេញតាមក្មួយដែលគេជាប្រពន្ធទី2បានមកនៅជុំម្ដាយវិញចា
So for her, that was a particularly not only laborious physically experience, but it was also a personally humiliating one. And that went on for about a month. But she was lucky that among the Khmer Rouge, she had a family member who was married to one of them that helped her to actually escape that experience. And they helped her to go back to her family living in that same region.
ហើយតែនៅជាមួយម្ដាយឪពុកនៅក្នុងភូមិហ្នឹងក៏ខ្ញុំនៅលីអត់បាននៅក្នុងភូមិទេគេឲ្យទៅធ្វើការឆ្ងាយអស់ហើយ
Yeah. Because she was a single woman under the Khmer Rouge, they had actually separated family members from children, and children were separated into very young children and then teens and adults. And she would, although they allowed her to go back to her family, instead they had actually separated her into the group that was other young people.
ហើយទៅក៏មានមហូប ធ្វើការធ្ងន់មហូបញ៉ាំតិចហើយមិនថាក្តៅមិនថាភ្លៀងខ្ញុំទៅចក្រមចាញ់ទៅ
Similar to Uncle, she was forced to work under very difficult conditions in forced labor, and she was also fed very little, the only single bowl of rice porridge. And unlike Uncle, though, she had gotten sick and had actually contracted and actually had gotten malaria.
ហើយដល់ពេលឆ្នាំទី2ហ្នឹងគេតម្រូវឲ្យខ្ញុំរៀបការអត់ដែលស្គាល់កូនប្រុសថានឹងជាចេតនាទេមកដល់ចាប់ដៃហ្មង
And she had shared earlier that while she was sick, though, she had wondered why she just wouldn't die, but instead had survived malaria. So after that, in the second year, 1976 or 77, there was another incident in which she was again forced to marry someone that was introduced to her by the Khmer Rouge.
ចាអញ្ចឹងឯងដូចថ្ងៃហ្នឹងដូចថាយើងច្រូតស្រូវអញ្ចឹងណាដល់ពេលថ្ងៃត្រង់ល្ងាចមកផ្ទះគេហៅទៅកន្លែងគណៈឃុំគេចាប់ដៃជាមួយប្រុសនឹងឯង
Oh, ហើយអត់ស្គាល់ទេ
ចា
Yeah, yeah, she had talked about how she had worked all day until nightfall, and then in that evening, all of a sudden, they called her to go. They had called her to go meet them, the Khmer Rouge, and they had actually performed what they called a holding hands ceremony, which is essentially a forced marriage ceremony. And not just her, but there were 20 other couples there too.
ទៅប្រហែលជាមួយអាទិត្យបានគណៈឃុំគេហៅទៅសួរថាតើយើងពីរនាក់នឹងស្រស់ស្រួលគ្នាទេហើយក៏ហក់គេថាចេះនៅជាមួយគ្នាទៅ
Okay. And she had talked about how actually 1 week after that forced marriage ceremony, there was a follow-up in which they asked the young couples whether or not they were able to live with one another successfully. And in her case, she and that gentleman had lied to them and yet and said, yes, they were living together well. Okay.
ចាចឹងឯងបំពោះធ្វើការគេថាធ្វើចឹងឯងគេថាធ្វើការច្រើនញ៉ាំបាយតិចតែហេតុអីបងគេមិនស្លាប់គ្រុនញាក់ផងអីផង
So those are the, I guess those are the experiences that both of them would like to share most in this audience. And like I said in the beginning, keep in mind that this is just one of the many grievances that they had suffered. But these are the ones that they had picked out to share today.
So the last question today is, how did you leave Cambodia? Where did you go first? And how did you come to Philadelphia?
Mìnhខ្ញុំបានជម្រាបអំពីជីវិតរស់នៅរបស់ខ្ញុំនៅក្នុងសម័យកុម្មុយនីសខ្មែរក្រហមឥឡូវនេះខ្ញុំបានមករស់នៅសហរដ្ឋអាមេរិកការដែលបានមករស់នៅក្នុងសហរដ្ឋអាមេរិកនេះជាការមួយដែលខ្ញុំមិនបាននឹកស្មានសោះថានឹងបានមករស់នៅក្នុងប្រទេសសហរដ្ឋអាមេរិកនេះខ្ញុំបានចាប់ផ្ដើមរាយការណ៍អំពីជីវិតរបស់ខ្ញុំទៅស្ថានទូតសហរដ្ឋអាមេរិកប្រចាំនៅប្រទេសថៃឲ្យគេបានដឹងអំពីជីវិតរបស់ខ្ញុំពេលដែលខ្ញុំបានទៅសេសេចក្តីរាយការណ៍ទៅប្រាប់ទូតអាមេរិកាំងក៏គេបានទទួលហើយក៏គេចាត់ការទំនាក់ទំនងមកសហរដ្ឋអាមេរិកជាមួយនឹងរដ្ឋាភិបាលសហរដ្ឋអាមេរិកពេលនោះសហរដ្ឋអាមេរិកក៏បានយករឿងរបស់ខ្ញុំនេះទៅចាត់ចែងជាបន្ទាន់ហើយក្រសួងយុត្តិធម៌សហរដ្ឋអាមេរិកក៏បានសម្រេចថានឹងនាំគ្រួសារខ្ញុំឲ្យមករស់នៅសហរដ្ឋអាមេរិកជាបន្ទាន់ដូច្នេះសហរដ្ឋអាមេរិកក៏គេបានកំណត់ឲ្យខ្ញុំចាក់ចេញពីជំរំអ្នកភៀសខ្លួននៅជ័យដែនខ្មែរថៃនៅក្នុងខែ4ឆ្នាំ1993ឲ្យបានចាក់ចេញមកនៅរស់នៅក្នុងសហរដ្ឋអាមេរិកនេះដូច្នេះខ្ញុំសូមអរគុណដល់រដ្ឋាភិបាលអាមេរិកនិងប្រជាពលរដ្ឋអាមេរិកដែលបានចូលព្រមអនុញ្ញាតឲ្យខ្ញុំមករស់នៅក្នុងសហរដ្ឋអាមេរិកបានទំនុកបម្រុងជួយគ្រួសារខ្ញុំគ្រប់បែបយ៉ាងទាំងអស់មិនមានការខ្វះខាតអ្វីទេ ដូច្នេះខ្ញុំសូមអរគុណហើយអរគុណទៀតដល់សហរដ្ឋអាមេរិកដល់រដ្ឋាភិបាលអាមេរិកនិងប្រជាពលរដ្ឋអាមេរិកដែលបានជួយដល់គ្រួសារខ្ញុំរហូតមកដល់ថ្ងៃនេះ
ខ្ញុំសូមសួរបញ្ជាក់អង្គស្រីគឺពេលដែលនៅជំនុំនោះគឺឆ្នាំ1980ទៅ
បានមានបាន6ខែបានមកពីឡាដល់មកដល់មកនៅនេះវាអ៊ីតការរស់នៅវាស្រួល
ចា Okay. So they had so they if it's not evident they were married to other people but had actually met in the refugee camps in 1980. They both had entered a refugee camp on the border of Thailand and Cambodia in 1979 and met in 1980, and their love story can be captured through a poem that's actually titled July 18th that Uncle actually wrote for Aunt. And so they actually lived in the refugee camp on the border of Thailand and Cambodia from 1979 all the way to 1993. Rex himself was also born in the refugee camp, including his sister, right? And so what happened was that Uncle had written a letter to the embassy in Thailand, which had also reached the U.S. So they were sponsored by the U.S. government to come, but they had waited for a long time. And so he's very grateful for being allowed to come. Now, in 1993, when they came over to the United States, they first were resettled in Maryland. And in Maryland, they lived there for 6 months. But there were a lot of hardships in kind of securing housing and residence there because the rent was very expensive. That's what they shared with me. So they had made the decision to move to Philadelphia because Uncle did have a brother that was living in Philadelphia already that could help them find a place where the rent was much more affordable and also to help them look for a job and resettle into the community.
All right, thank you so much for your answers. And I would like to open it up now to the audience. If people have questions, I would be very grateful to hear some questions from students, of course, first. Yes, please.
Why did she write that she was living well with her husband and doing remarriage?
So the question is about her arranged marriage and why she had to lie to Khmer Rouge about living well with him.
So there are several reasons why. First of all, it was indeed a forced marriage. And this was at a time where the Khmer Rouge was actually trying to build up the population of Cambodia through these forced marriages. So the reason why she lied was, one, she was afraid of being punished. Because if you had shared that you were not living well with the person that they had forced you to marry, the consequences, which she thought were at light, maybe you would just be punished, but it was heavier. They might give you to another person who was a part of the Khmer Rouge cadre, a high-ranking person. And she was afraid that this individual might actually be cruel, because the person that she was forced to marry was actually a kind person who was quite gentle, who listened to her. And so in order to ensure both of their safety, they had lied and said that they got along well. And also, if they had lied and said they got along well, then the Khmer Rouge would actually give them a house of their own instead of living with another couple.
All right, some other questions? Yeah.
What happened to the other 4 children?
So the question is about his former family and the ones and the children that had passed away.
Con របស់ខ្ញុំពេលដែលខ្ញុំទៅរស់នៅជាមួយខ្មែរក្រហមមាន6នាក់ដូច្នេះមាន4នាក់បានឆ្លប់នៅក្នុងសម័យខ្មែរក្រហមដូច្នេះកូនដែលឆ្លាប់នោះគឺថាមានកូន2នាក់ខ្ញុំមិនបានឃើញទេពីព្រោះគេមិនដឹងយកទៅសម្លាប់នៅទីណាហើយកូន2នាក់ដែលនៅតូចៗគឺបាននៅឆ្លាប់ជាមួយនឹងខ្ញុំតែម្ដងហើយមានកូនទី5និងទី6គឺរស់មកនៅស្រុកថ្ងៃនេះមួយនៅស្រុកខ្មែរហើយមួយទៀតមកនៅស្រុកអង់គ្លេសខ្ញុំទៅកូន2ដែលនៅជាមួយអ៊ំនឹងគឺស្លាប់តែជំងឺនៅការអត់ឃ្លានគឺការអត់ឃ្លានហើយមានជំងឺផងអត់មានថ្នាំព្យាបាលស្លាប់អត់ឃើញផងហើយជាប់2នាក់កូន2ទៀតអាយុច្រើនណាស់បង2នាក់ហ្នឹងគឺអាយុច្រើនគឺជាបងប្អូនវាបើធំជាងគេហើយទូហ្នឹងគឺនៅស្លាប់ជាមួយខ្ញុំ2
So when he entered, so under the Khmer Rouge, the beginning there were 6 children. And then 2 of the older children were separated from the family, so he had only heard later that they had died, but he doesn't know how they died. And they took them and then he never saw them again. And then for the 2 younger ones, the reason why they died was a combination of starvation and illness because there was no food and no medication.
Some other questions? Maybe some other questions?
So it was mentioned earlier that they didn't want Khmer to trade with other countries, but then at the same time, they're saying that at that time they had to do farming and stuff. So what are they doing with the vegetations and the products if they're not trading with other countries and they're not feeding the people?
So the question is, right, if all these people are put into forced labor camps, what is the Khmer Rouge doing with the products of their labor? What are they doing with the agricultural products? What's the goal of forcing everybody to farm? What are they, and then we hear that people are starving, so they're clearly not feeding the people with the products of the farms. What are they doing? What's the point? Right? That's the-
បច្ចិតណោតែភ្លើងយប់ឡើងឃើញតែប្រទេសភ្លើងគេដាក់កទៅក្នុងពេលទេតែគេដាក់បច្ចិនអីទៅណាក៏មិនដឹងនោះគឺធ្វើស្រែបានស្រូវមកកើតច្រកបានទៅដឹកលុយទៅដាក់ស្រែគេហៅថាកទេណាតែគេដឹកលុយទៅអស់ហើយតាមស្រូវមិនដែលខ្វះញ៉ាំទេប៉ិនគេយួរចេញគេឲ្យយើងអស់គេមិនឲ្យយើងញ៉ាំមកមួយគេស្រូវបានហើយដឹកទៅថ្ងៃស្រូវពេញរោគប៉ិនគេមិនឲ្យយើងគេដឹកដាក់ទឹកភ្លើងលើទៅបាត់អស់
Yeah. So they had said that they don't know, actually. So you're right, they were not feeding the people. Whatever they harvested or whatever that they gained from the labor of the people, it was put onto a train and then transported somewhere else and not given to the people at all. So the normal citizens like aunt and uncle, they wouldn't know. They just saw all the food that they had helped grow just be shipped away before their eyes.
ព្រោះចេះគឺថាខ្ញុំសូមបញ្ជាក់ថាអ្វីដែលយើងធ្វើបានទាំងអស់គឺគេមិនឲ្យយើងយកមកសម្រាប់ខ្លួនយើងទេគឺពួកដឹកនាំរបស់កុម្មុយនីសហ្នឹងគឺគេប្រមូលយកទៅឲ្យបានគេចែកមកឲ្យយើងស៊ីវិញគេឲ្យយើងមានគុំយើង
Yeah. Uncle's suspicion is that they had taken all of the produce or whatever is produced and then amassed it into a headquarters, and then they would delegate it to the different camps bit by bit. It was rationed out to them.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you if you think that maybe any country, like other countries, could have done something to prevent the genocide, or if they could have done something to help the Cambodian people during the genocide.
សំណួរនេះគឺសួរថាអង្គគិតថាស្រុកផ្សេងៗដែលកំពុងធ្វើអ្វីដើម្បីជួយដល់ខ្មែរក្រហមខ្ញុំមិនជួយខ្មែរក្រហមជួយប្រជាជនការខ្មែរក្រហមណាអង្គគិតថាស្រុកផ្សេងៗគួរតែជួយអត់
អត់មែនសម័យហ្នឹងគ្មានណាគេដឹងផងអត់ជួយផងគ្មានណាគេជួយទេមានបរទេសណាចូលការវិចិត្រទេ
ខ្ញុំសូមបញ្ជាក់អញ្ចឹងគឺថាពេលសម័យខ្មែរក្រហមត្រួតត្រាស្រុកខ្មែរនោះគឺព័ត៌មានខ្មែរក្រហមបិទទាំងអស់អត់មានឲ្យអ្នកព័ត៌មានណាចូលទៅយកព័ត៌មានបានទេណាគឺគ្រប់ព័ត៌មានប្រទេសលោកសេរីប្រទេសលោកសេរីទាំងអស់គឺថាអត់អានេះក្រោយទេអាណាប្រទេសលោកសេរីទាំងអស់គឺថាគេបិទទាំងអស់ខ្មែរក្រហមកុម្មុយនីសនឹងគេបិទទាំងអស់អត់ឲ្យចូលយកព័ត៌មាននៅស្រុកខ្មែរទេគឺចេះមានតែពួកកុម្មុយនីសទេដែលអ្នកព័ត៌មានពីខាងកុម្មុយនីសហើយពួកនោះគេមិនដែលផ្សាយពីរឿងអ្វីៗដែលកុម្មុយនីសខ្មែរក្រហមធ្វើបាបខ្មែរ
So while the question was asking is, do they think that other countries should have helped Cambodia during the time of the genocide, right?
Yeah, so
That's
just
it.
like their personal opinion about whether they thought that maybe other countries could have either prevented the genocide from happening or just helped during the genocide. And they feel like there was something that had been done by other countries to help them.
Their answer was that there is no way that other countries would know to help them. Because at that time, under the Khmer Rouge, all news sources were cut off, and the Khmer Rouge had very tight control of any press going in and out. So what the people of the country were suffering from, nobody could have known, or nobody, even the neighboring countries, could have conceived of the atrocities that were happening under the Khmer Rouge. In that case, even if they feel like other countries may have the desire to help Khmer citizens at this time, there was no way for other people to know that they were suffering in such a manner.
So in regards to the trials that took place after the genocide, do they feel like any justice was served?
So the question is, there are actually ongoing trials that the United Nations and the government of Cambodia are currently holding to bring some of the top leaders of the Khmer Rouge to trial. So she's asking what their thoughts are on this.
រឿងកាត់ទោសខ្មែរក្រហមហ្នឹងគ្រាន់តែជាការមួយដែលធ្វើឲ្យគ្រាន់តែថាបានធ្វើទេតែការពិតគឺពួកអននឹងអត់បានយករឿងខ្មែរក្រហមហ្នឹងមកកាត់ទោសហ្នឹងឲ្យត្រឹមត្រូវទៅតាមរបៀបរបបដែលគេកាត់ទោសនៅក្នុងប្រទេសនានានោះទេគឺថាតាមច្បាប់របៀបគុំតុលាការកាត់ទោសនៅប្រទេសមួយដែលមានមេដឹកនាំសម្រាប់ប្រជាពលរដ្ឋខ្លួនឯងហ្នឹងគឺត្រូវមេនឹងហើយដែលគេត្រូវយកមកកាត់ទោស ហើយកាលណាមេនឹងកាត់ទោសមេនឹងហើយត្រូវមានទោសយ៉ាងណាណាគេត្រូវរំលាយតុលាការពិសេសនឹងចោលហើយអ្នកដទៃទៀតគេត្រូវទុកឲ្យតុលាការសម្រាប់ប្រទេសនីមួយៗនោះកាត់ទោសជាបន្តទៅទៀត
So in their opinion, the short answer is no. So they do not think that justice will be served from the Khmer Rouge tribunals or any consequences of that. Mainly because the true story of what happened under the Khmer Rouge is not being told, one. And two, current leaders of the Cambodian government now, some of them are members of the Khmer Rouge. So in order for there to be any true justice, you must also question and you must also put under trial the current leaders of Cambodia. But they don't think that's going to happen.
ម្យ៉ាងទៀតខ្ញុំជម្រាបបន្តបន្តិចម្យ៉ាងទៀតតុលាការដែលកាត់ទោសខ្មែរក្រហមមេខ្មែរក្រហមសប្តាហ៍នេះគឺវាបង្កើតឡើងដោយសារមេដឹកនាំសប្តាហ៍នេះគឺជាខ្មែរក្រហមដូចគ្នាគេមកធ្វើកម្ម
ចាគេបានបញ្ជាក់អត់ទេ
ណាបាទ
Okay. Next question. Yeah.
What was the poem that Uncle wrote second time?
Yeah.
She's asking about the poem
Yeah,
that
Kim
he
Ban
wrote to
did
his
that
wife
poem
in the
the,
refugee camps in Thailand.
No កំណើតបែរខ្ញុំមកតែកុំបីកាក់កណ្ដាលដល់ឆ្នាំ8
អូអានេះកំណាព្យ
ស្រឡាញ់
ដែលទំនាក់ទំនងគ្នាដំបូងដែលខ្ញុំមករស់នៅជាយដែនដូចគ្នានឹងនៅដូចគ្នាខ្ញុំក៏មានប្រពន្ធគាត់ក៏អត់មានប្តីហើយទៅពីអ្នករងគ្រោះដូចថាវិធានដូចគ្នាគាត់ចាប់ដៃគ្នាដើម្បីកសាងគ្រួសារថ្មីទៅ
Well, we don't have the specifics, okay. But the poem is the whole title was called "The 18th of July" at the beginning of 1980. It was a poem, but it was a love letter written to from Uncle, expressing how they were two individuals who were lonely and had suffered many grievances. And it was asking if she was willing for them to basically spend the rest of their lives together, holding their hands together. Okay.
ខ្ញុំសូមបញ្ជាក់បន្តិចទៀតថាខ្ញុំនេះទីនេះដែលចូលចិត្តទៅសេកំណាព្យហើយខ្ញុំនៅតែសរសេររហូតមកដល់សប្តាហ៍នេះមានកំណាព្យជាច្រើនរាប់រយកំណាព្យ
So he wanted to clarify that yes, he was a professor and of engineering and also a member of the Royal Reserve in Cambodia, but in his heart he's also a poet. So he has written many poems before the one we just talked about and also afterwards. And there were some poems that he wrote, Aunt had shared with me earlier, that commemorated the birth of each of his children.
So maybe one more question now.
Do you feel that talking about your experiences and telling the truth about the genocide can eventually bring justice for what happened?
តាអ៊ំប្រុសឲ្យអ៊ំស្រីគិតថាការនិយាយពីរឿងពិតរបស់អ៊ំប្រុសអ៊ំស្រីអាចជួយឲ្យយើងដល់ការយុត្តិធម៌ពីអំពើខ្មៅក្រហម
មានមកតព្រះណាសូមឲ្យព្រះឲ្យមកយុត្តិធម៌ឲ្យខ្មែរ
រឿងការដែលនិយាយនេះគឺថាខ្ញុំនិយាយដើម្បីចង់ឲ្យបានរឿងទុក្ខវេទនារបស់ខ្មែរយើងនឹងបានទៅដល់អន្តរជាតិផងទៅដល់គ្រប់ជាតិសាសន៍ផងដើម្បីឲ្យជួយធ្វើម៉េចឲ្យប្រទេសខ្មែរនឹងចេញផុតអំពីរបបកុម្មុយនីសនឹងទៅបានសុខខ្មែរបានសុខបានចម្រើន
They had shared that, well, partly yes, they believe that the telling of their story could contribute to gaining justice for Cambodia, but they also said that the stories that they tell, they wish for others to spread also so that there would be greater awareness of what Khmer people had experienced under the Khmer Rouge. And although indeed they wish for justice under the Khmer Rouge and they pray for it, but in fact, what they would also like to see is that Cambodia can become a thriving country and be relieved of its current sufferings under the current government also.
ពីព្រោះយើងសង្ខេបពីព្រោះសពថ្ងៃនេះគឺថាខ្មែរនៅតែរងទុក្ខនៅឡើយគឺថាដោយសារអ្នកកាន់អំណាចសពថ្ងៃហ្នឹងគឺនៅតែមានការអយុត្តិធម៌សម្រាប់ជីវិតរបស់ខ្មែរគឺនៅតែចង់សម្រាប់ជីវិតខ្មែរហើយគឺធ្វើការបម្រើបរទេស
Yeah, because the point that he would like to make is that the lives of people in Cambodia are currently suffering, whether under the Khmer Rouge or whether under the contemporary government. So despite that the Khmer Rouge has been overthrown, but the people continue to struggle. And in that way, the point that he'd like to make is that he hopes for the people of Cambodia to stop struggling.
ដូច្នេះមានតែខ្មែរខ្ញុំពេលនេះក៏ខ្ញុំចង់អំពាវនាវដល់អន្តរជាតិជាប្រទេសមហាអំណាចលោកសេរីទាំងអស់ទាំងអាមេរិកទាំងបារាំងទាំងកាណាដាទាំងអូស្ត្រាលីទាំងតែជាប្រទេសធំៗនឹងសូមឲ្យជួយប្រទេសខ្មែរឲ្យបានរួចពីកណ្ដាប់តែកុម្មុយនីស
So he, in telling the story, is making a request that international powers that are interested in helping Cambodia will take an interest and then therefore invest in Cambodia to help improve the current country.
All right, let's thank our guests. Really quick,